Welcome to the English Prep Podcast.
Great to be here.
Today, we're really digging into a skill that, well, it can make a huge difference on the IELTS listening test. Note completion. It's one of those areas, where you feel like you're following, but then, those little gaps, they can feel like real stumbling blocks.
Oh, absolutely. It's so common. We hear it all the time. Learners saying they got the main ideas, but missed those crucial specifics in the notes sections.
Yeah, and that's just so frustrating, isn't it? Especially when you're aiming for a specific band score.
Exactly. So frustrating.
We really want to help you tackle those tasks with a lot more confidence. Think about that moment the audio is playing, you're concentrating super hard, and then you just realize, oh, I didn't catch that key detail. Maybe it was a time or a name or a number.
And those small misses, they really add up.
They do.
And that's precisely what we're focusing on today.
Mm-hmm.
We want to give you some, really practical strategies, things you can start using right away.
Okay, good.
To approach these note completion exercises much more effectively. And hopefully more accurately, too.
Sounds perfect. So where do we start?
Yeah.
Right at the beginning, before the listening even starts.
Exactly. You get that short time, that preview window to look at the notes.
Right. It's only, 30 to 60 seconds sometimes? Feels like nothing.
It can feel like nothing, yeah, but how you use it, well, that can be a total game changer.
Okay.
Honestly. Think of that time as your initial investigation, like a mini scavenger hunt.
I like that, a scavenger hunt. So what are we hunting for in that quick look?
Well, the first thing I'd say is scan for the type of information that's missing.
Okay.
Are there blanks next to clues suggesting, a time, a date, maybe a place, a price, perhaps a percentage?
Okay. Identifying those categories.
Yeah, it just gives your brain a head start. Helps you focus your listening. Like setting up a mental radar for specific kinds of details, you see.
That makes perfect sense. So your brain knows what it needs to be ready for. What about the words already on the page? Around the gaps. Any hints there?
Oh, they absolutely can. Huge hints sometimes. Pay close attention to the grammar.
Grammar, right. How so?
Okay, so for instance, if you see a blank space and it's followed by a noun, let's say garden.
Okay, garden.
And maybe there's an article like a or the just before the blank. It's highly likely, like really likely, you're looking for an adjective, right, to describe the garden.
Yeah, like a beautiful garden or a large garden.
Exactly. You probably wouldn't expect another noun there grammatically. You wouldn't really say a beauty garden, would you?
No, that sounds odd. Okay, that's a really smart way to narrow things down, using those grammatical cues.
It stops you just listening for any random word.
What about the other words hanging around the blank?
They can act like little signposts.
Wow.
We could maybe call them prediction anchors.
Prediction anchors, okay.
Imagine you see a number, then the word minutes, and there's a blank just before something like to arrive. You can be pretty confident the missing word is also going to be time-related somehow. Maybe a mode of transport like walk or drive, or perhaps an action like wait.
Right, using the context.
It's all about using that context to make, educated guesses about the kind of information that fits.
So it's much more active. You're not just sitting back waiting. You're trying to anticipate.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Much more effective. And don't overlook the overall structure of the notes themselves.
The structure, like headings and bullet points.
Yeah, exactly. Think of it like a roadmap. The main titles tell you the general area, the topic, and the bullet points. They give you the more specific details within that area.
Okay.
Understanding this layout helps you anticipate how the information will flow, where the speaker might go next.
Right, so you can follow along better. Okay, so we've used our preview time well. We've got some predictions, a sense of the structure. What happens once the audio actually starts playing?
Okay, this is where truly active listening comes in. Human speech isn't just one long, continuous stream of words, is it?
No, definitely not.
It naturally breaks down into what we can think of as idea chunks, or maybe thought groups, phrases that logically go together.
Idea chunks. Okay. So how do we train our ears to actually hear those chunks?
Well, one really helpful technique is called shadowing.
Shadowing.
Yeah. You take short audio clips, maybe from podcasts, TED Talks, even bits of practice tests, and slow them down a little.
How slow?
Maybe 0.75 speed, something like that. Then you listen to just a short segment, a few words, pause it, and then try to repeat exactly what you just heard. Same intonation, same rhythm if you can.
Oh, I see. That sounds like it could really help process the information in smaller, more manageable bits.
It does. And with practice, you start to more naturally recognize the pauses in speech. The places where you'd normally see a comma or a full stop if it were written down.
Right, the natural breaks.
And this is so important because it helps you place the answers in the correct blanks as you hear them, instead of trying to hold everything in your memory until the very end.
Which, like we said, can be totally overwhelming, trying to remember 5 things at once.
Exactly. It's just a setup for errors, usually.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Now let's talk about something that always feels like a deliberate trick. Synonyms.
Yes. The synonym traps.
It really seems like they go out of their way sometimes to use different words in the recording than what's written on the notes.
You're spot on. Examiners do that frequently. It's a way to test your overall understanding, your vocabulary range, not just whether you can pick out the exact words from the page.
Right. So if the notes say maybe price of admission.
The audio might say how much it costs to get in or the entry fee or something like that.
Okay, so how do we arm ourselves against these synonym traps?
The most effective way, I think, is to actively build up what you could call a personal synonym bank.
A synonym bank, like a vocabulary list.
Sort of, yeah, but organized by category. Think about common types of words in IELTS listening. Things related to quantity or time or money. These come up a lot.
Okay, quantity, time, money.
Then, for each common word you know in those categories, try to brainstorm some alternatives. Words or phrases with a similar meaning.
Can you give an example?
Sure. For amount, you could jot down number, quantity, volume, total, sum. For time, maybe duration, period, length. For money, think cost, fee, charge, rate, price.
Okay. And maybe note down the context where you'd hear them.
Exactly. Note the context. Just spending a few minutes each day adding to this bank, it could really pay off.
Yeah, that sounds like a really practical, ongoing study habit.
It truly can be. It helps you become more flexible, more adaptable in your understanding. You're less dependent on hearing those exact words from the notes.
Makes sense. Okay, another area where I know learners often make unexpected mistakes is with numbers.
Oh, numbers, yes.
They seem so straightforward, right?
Yeah.
But they can be surprisingly easy to mishear or write down wrong.
Absolutely. It's surprising how many errors in listening tests actually involve digits. There are a few common pitfalls.
Like what?
Well, one is just distinguishing between years and other numbers,
Yeah.
like maybe an address or a phone number. For example, if you hear 1913,
Right.
is that the year 1913?
Oh, what?
Or is the numbers 19 and then 13? Context is key there.
Right. And the way they pronounce things like decimals and fractions can also throw you off, can't it? Especially with different accents.
Exactly. If you're mainly used to, say, American English pronunciation, you might be caught out by a British pronunciation of point in a decimal, like 3.5. Sometimes it sounds a bit different.
Subtle, but enough to cause an error if you're not ready.
Precisely. And what about informal language for currency?
Oh, yeah, like slang.
Right. If you hear someone say bucks, you need to know that means dollars, probably U.S. dollars,
Sure.
or quid for British pounds.
Got it. Little clues like that.
Recognizing those common informal terms prevents confusion.
So what's the best way to sharpen up our number skills for the test?
Practice, practice, practice. It's absolutely key. Use dictation apps or online exercises where you can control the playback speed.
Yep.
Start slower. Maybe 0.6 speed, something comfortable. Listen to numbers being read out, dates, prices, phone numbers, measurements. Write them down, check your accuracy.
And then gradually speed it up.
Yep. Gradually increase the speed as you get more comfortable. Keep at it until you can accurately transcribe those multi-digit numbers at full speed without, too much difficulty.
Okay, solid advice. Now, something IELTS is famous for is the variety of accents.
The international flavor.
Yeah, you get speakers from all over the English-speaking world. That can be a big challenge.
It really can. You might hear, an Australian accent in Section 1 describing travel plans, and then maybe a Canadian accent giving instructions in Section 3.
So it's crucial to get exposure to that variety.
Definitely. You need to prepare for that range.
So what's a good way to do that systematically?
I often recommend creating what we could call an accent exposure plan, or maybe an accent carousel.
Accent carousel. Okay.
Try to dedicate just a little bit of time each day, or maybe each week, to listening to different English accents.
How would that work?
Well, you could say, Monday, listen to some BBC Radio 4 for Southern British. Tuesday, maybe an ABC podcast from Australia. Wednesday, NPR for General American. Thursday, CBC for Canadian. Friday, maybe find some YouTube channels focusing on Singaporean or Indian English speakers.
Oh, okay. That's specific.
Just 10 minutes a day, focusing on a different accent each time. It makes a surprising difference over time. It trains your brain, Helps your ear get attuned to those subtle variations in vowels, consonants, intonation.
Yeah, I can see how that would help, even a small amount regularly.
Absolutely. Your brain becomes more adaptable, better at decoding the sounds. You're less likely to be caught off guard by an accent you're not so familiar with.
Good tip. Okay, so fast forward. We're in the tests, the audio is playing, we need to stay focused. Any tips for keeping that concentration up?
Yes, a couple of techniques people find helpful. One is the finger follow method.
Fearful.
Yeah, just gently place your finger on the question you're currently trying to answer. While you're listening for that answer, your eyes can quickly glance ahead to the next question.
Ah, okay.
It's a simple physical action, but it really helps keep your place on the page, especially when information comes quickly, like in a list.
That's clever. A physical anchor? What about when you hear the information, but you don't have time to write it all down perfectly?
That's where using quick margin codes can be super useful.
Margin codes, like abbreviations.
Yeah, develop a few simple symbols or short forms you can jot down really quickly in the margin of your question paper, like maybe a hashtag sign for a number you heard, dollar for a price if you're unsure, plus for an increase.
Yeah.
Even just the first few letters of a word.
Okay, quick notes.
Exactly. Then, during that dedicated transfer time at the end, the 10 minutes you get, you can transfer those quick notes into your full, properly spelled answers on the answer sheet.
That sounds like a great strategy for capturing info quickly without getting stuck trying to write perfectly midstream. And what if, your concentration just starts to dip between the sections?
Yeah, that can happen. The breathe to reset technique can be surprisingly effective here.
Breathe to reset.
After each section finishes, before the next one starts, just consciously take 2 slow, deep breaths. In through the nose, out through the mouth. Really focus on the breath.
Just 2 breaths.
Just 2 deep ones. It helps get a bit more oxygen to the brain, clears away any mental fog, and lets you refocus your attention for the next recording. Simple, but it can work.
Simple, but potentially powerful. Okay, now after we've done a practice test, the review is so important, isn't it? Learning from mistakes.
Oh, crucial. Don't just do the test and check the answers.
How can we make that review process really, really helpful?
Treat it as structured self-feedback. After each practice test, take the time to create a basic error log. Maybe just a simple 2-column table.
Okay, what goes in the columns?
First column. Question number where you made an error and briefly describe the type of mistake. Was it spelling? Did you mishear a number? Miss a synonym? Second column. Try to pinpoint the root cause. Why did you make that mistake? And then crucially, write down a specific action, a fix, something you can do to avoid it next time.
Can you walk us through an example?
Sure. Let's say question 21, you wrote receive instead of receive. Error type, that spelling.
Yeah.
Root cause. Maybe confuse the II rule. Fix dot. Review the spelling rule, write the correct word 10 times, maybe add it to a spelling app.
Okay.
Or maybe question 15, you missed a date. Root cause. You were listening too hard for a name mentioned just before it. Fix. Practice scanning ahead for date keywords before the audio starts. Use the finger follow method more consciously.
That level of detail sounds really valuable in actually analyzing why.
Yes, and reviewing these logs regularly, maybe once a week, it helps you spot patterns. Are you always mishearing 13 and 30? Are synonyms tripping you up consistently?
Right, so you can target your weaknesses.
Exactly. You dedicate extra practice time specifically to those areas.
Yeah.
Much more efficient studying.
Makes sense. Now, we live in a tech world. Loads of tools out there. How can we leverage technology effectively for note completion practice?
Technology can be a fantastic assistant, definitely. But use it strategically.
How so?
Well, transcription tools, like, the voice-to-text feature in Google Docs or other software. Dictate answers or summaries, then see how the text spells them. It can highlight pronunciation and spelling issues you might have.
Oh, interesting.
Spaced repetition apps, like Anki or Quizlet. Great for drilling that personal synonym bank or those tricky number pairs we talked about.
Yeah, those are good for vocab.
And good quality noise-canceling earbuds or headphones. They can help simulate the quieter test environment during practice, helping you focus better.
That's a good point. But it's a tool, right? Not a replacement for effort.
Precisely. Technology enhances your effort. It doesn't replace the need to actively practice listening, analyzing, and learning.
Got it. And speaking of effective prep, you mentioned simulating the test. How important is doing a full mock test under proper conditions?
Oh, hugely important.
Yeah.
Because it helps reduce that test day anxiety. It gets your brain familiar with the whole process, the timing, the pressure, not just the listening itself.
So what does a good simulation look like?
I recommend doing full listening mock tests, like Official practice tests under strict exam conditions at least twice before your actual test day.
Twice. Okay.
Play all 4 recordings back-to-back using the official timings. Sit at a desk, no pausing the audio, no distractions. And this is crucial practice, transferring your answers to an answer sheet within that 10-minute time limit at the end.
Ah, the transfer time. People forget to practice that.
They do. And it's easy to run out of time or make silly mistakes when transferring under pressure if you haven't practiced it.
That seems like a really solid way to build confidence and just get comfortable with the whole experience.
It really is. By simulating it, you feel much more prepared, much less overwhelmed when the real day comes.
Okay, makes total sense. Finally, let's zoom in on that final week, the last few days before the test. Any key things learners should focus on then?
Yeah, it's good to have a bit of a plan, a final checklist maybe, rather than frantically cramming.
Okay, what might that look like?
Well, maybe something like this. 7 days before, do a final review of your synonym bank. Aim to feel comfortable with, say, 50 key synonyms or tricky words.
Okay, -7 days, synonyms.
6 days out, maybe revisit that accent carousel idea. Focus on a couple of accents you find trickiest. Just a short session.
-6 accents.
5 days before, schedule that first full mock test under exam conditions.
20 to 5, mock test 1.
4 days out, really analyze the error log from that mock. What were your top 2 or 3 mistake types? Drill those specifically.
Made it 4, analyze and drill. Got it.
3 days before, maybe a dedicated number dictation session, 15-20 minutes. Really focus on number accuracy.
Nuggets 3, number practice.
2 days out, do your second full mock test.
Magus 2, mock test 2.
And then the day before the test. Keep it light, maybe a very gentle review of notes, but mainly focus on relaxing, getting organized, and aiming for a really good night's sleep. No late-night cramming.
Okay, that sounds like a really structured, sensible approach to the final week. Less panic, more focus.
Exactly. Following a plan like that helps you feel organized, confident, and ready to perform your best.
Well, this has been incredibly helpful. A really thorough look at how to, nail note completion in the IELTS listening.
It's definitely a skill you can improve significantly with the right approach.
It really seems like it combines understanding the task, that active listening you talked about, smart preparation, and that crucial review process.
Absolutely. Understand the questions before listening. Focus on those idea chunks. Prepare for synonyms and number traps. Get used to accents. Stay focused. Learn from mistakes. Put it all together, and you can make a huge difference to your accuracy.
And your confidence, too, presumably.
Definitely boost confidence.
And these aren't just, last-minute tricks. They're really good habits for sharpening your overall English listening skills, aren't they?
They really are. Skills that will help beyond the test, too.
So we strongly encourage everyone listening to start weaving these techniques into your regular study routine.
Please do. And for all of you preparing for IELTS out there, we'd actually love to hear from you. What are some of the biggest challenges you've faced with note completion?
Yeah, share your experiences. Any questions you have as you continue your English learning journey, let us know.
Keep practicing, everyone. Stay focused. And we're confident that with these strategies, you'll be really well prepared to hit your target band score on the IELTS listening test.